Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I am delighted to be here today. I see some familiar faces. I've been here every month on Rosh Chodesh for, I think, a year and a half now. So I'm really excited because starting tonight, we start the month of Adar. And we did Adar last year together for those of you who were here. In Adar, we celebrate joy and happiness and silliness. In fact, the Talmud says that when Adar arrives, joy increases. So I would love to just, I like to get answers from the chat. Please go into the chat and say, why do you think we have a month that is just about joy? I just want to get some answers from the 178 folks here. Yes, good answer, Robin. We all need it. Great answer. I see some people laughing even just to start. Yeah, Lynn, I really like your answer. We need it and we deserve it. We're capable of it. It reminds us of holiness and the joy in our lives. Adar comes after that long, cold, snowy winter, right as things start turning after the month of Shvat, when we're asked to cultivate this faith that we're going to be going into spring, but we're not totally sure that it's going to happen yet. Joy exemplifies our presence of God within us. The importance of joy to reach divine love and to open our heart and remember that life is beautiful. We need to practice feelings of joy because we're neurologically programmed to focus on the negative. We contradict the negative biases to balance out the sadness of other months, to find balance in our life. We're also cranky now. I've been thinking about this, and it can be kind of vulnerable to have joy. I think especially nowadays when there's so much going on that pressures us to have really challenging feelings. And our team at The Well has also been exploring, even with climate change, and that we start noticing different things in our communities and in the places that we live. Are we allowed to have joy, even though there's all these pressures that are going on around the world that make it so intense? And the answer is yes, according to Judaism. Not only do we we deserve it. And that this is the month that we really try to focus on it. And we actually acknowledge that thinking about an entire month of joy can be really challenging, actually, to have that sustained joy. So we're going to have a meditation today. And for those of you who were with us last time, we're going to do the laughing meditation. I see some people smiling at me blankly. And the way that it's going to go is that we are going to unmute and we're going to force a little laughter together. And it's going to be for 1 full minute. And the idea is that we're going to hear other people and maybe that we're going to get to this sense of laughter. And we're going to try to train our brain to acknowledge the happiness. And then we're going to sit. And we're going to sit with the feelings that we have. So I want to just first acknowledge that there's probably some people here who are going through grief and going through hard times in their life. And the idea that you might do a laughing meditation with me here today was not what you were expecting. And so I just want to create the space for you to just be listening and do what's right for you. And for those of you who want to join me, I really encourage you to lean into what our ancestors and the Jewish calendar is inviting us and commanding us to try to do, to find that balance, to remember that there's good in the world, and remember that we deserve it, and try to lean into the beauty of our divine connection and the love that's around us. Adar is a gift. So giving a lot of space for people. Okay, so Kat, I'm actually going to invite you to allow people to unmute. I know this is untraditional for this sit. If you want to stay muted, yeah, actually, everyone should take ownership to own their own space. Join me in what you feel comfortable with, but you are going to be invited to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to find ourselves in a comfortable position because we're going to go into our sit after this. But when you're doing your laughing, feel free to move and bring your hands up and try to really go for it and make it completely embodied. So we're going to start here first by just smiling and seeing what that feels like in your body, to just force that smile. Lift the corners of your mouth up to the sky. Take some deep breaths there. In a moment, we're going to start our laughing meditation for 1 full minute. Let's go.
Oh dear.
Gosh, keep going. This is so funny.
Hilarious.
Feel free to lift your hands up.
Oh, great.
You can slap your knee. A deep breath in. Deep breath out. And we'll bring our Zoom rooms to mute. We'll bring our Zoom rooms to mute, and I invite you to find yourself in a comfortable position. Allow your eyes to close. Take a deep breath in. Open mouth, deep breath out. When Adar arrives, joy increases. And this is our commandment to practice this month. Notice any new sensations from when we started the call that you might be experiencing in your body. Last month in Shvat, for those of you who were with me in meditation, we thought about the roots being the sturdiness to our faith and our souls, and also the connection that all of the roots and all of the tree systems are interconnected underneath the ground, and so too are like our thoughts. So building off the month of Shvat, as we come into Adar, see if you can feel charged by other people's joy. And notice what it feels like to send joy through your roots to the other 200 people on this call. I want to invite you to explore sitting in your meditation with just a smile, a forced smile. Remembering that feeling joy can actually be very vulnerable. And perhaps think for a moment about this phrase, I deserve joy. Notice what comes up in your body. Notice what thoughts arise. If you're having a hard time believing that you are deserving, at least you could say Jewish wisdom commands me to experience joy. Taking a deep breath in and a big open mouth breath out. Let's do 2 more of them. They feel good. Keeping your eyes shut, take your hands together and rub them together really fast, creating friction and some heat. If you need a little extra help, you can blow some hot air into them. And when you feel ready, I invite you to place your hands on your heart or another part of your body that you want to experience joy. And when you're ready, and just when you're ready, you can lift the corners of your mouth to the sky. You can allow your eyes to open and catch some faces in the Zoom box. Scroll through, see some people smiling at you, sending you some Adar joy. In the month of Adar, we give gifts to our friends and to people that we love. We give gifts to charity. Giving feels good. Giving increases joy. Let's give each other some smiles. And I would love to invite us to go into the chat and feel free to put down experiences that you had with the laughing meditation or sitting with the thought of deserving of love. And let's learn a little bit from each other's experience. We had some great wisdom at the beginning about why Judaism, Jewish wisdom, our ancestors, and the Hebrew calendar might consider an entire month of joy. And I'd love to hear from you all about what it felt like to experience that. Thank you, Lori, for sharing. The big, hearty laughing opened up to body shaking and then weeping. I remember we talked about actually we cry if we're happy and we cry if we're sad, and it's the same physiological experience. Pat says, I didn't think it would, but in the end, the laughing meditation changed my mood. Adar is about feeling the month rather than thinking the month. It's hard to think about silliness unless you're like a stand-up comedian, but feeling silliness is one that kids can be the greatest teachers for us for. I laughed at the forced laughter, and then that laughter became real. I need permission to feel joy today. Well, hopefully I was able to do that, but it wasn't in my invention. It was the Hebrew calendar, and I'm here to just align us. This was difficult for me as I'm learning to be in touch with my emotions, but I loved it. Thank you for making it a great experience. Thanks, Gabriella. I know that you are not alone in that. I got a private message from someone saying joy unfroze my heart. And then I got breezes of sadness, grief, and other feelings. Maybe I should try this every day. What do you guys think? Thumbs up to Gail? Yeah, we think so, Gail. Especially in the month of Adar. So, my friends, I'm going to pass it back over to Josh in a moment, but I forgot to say this in the beginning. As you know, I run an organization called At the Well, and this year we're doing a 3-week email journey about Adar and joy. And so if you'd like to get that sign up, it's completely free. And if you'd like to get some Jewish wisdom and some neuroscience sent to you, you can sign up, and I'm going to put the link here in the chat. I can't promise I'm going to send videos of laughing meditation, but it might encourage you to do some and to bring it into your home, into your family, into your loved ones. So with that, Chodesh Tov, happy Adar, everyone. And I hope that you have a really fun, joyous, silly, and giving month. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Amazing. We will have in a minute, we'll have a chance to do a little more reflecting on your experience with the practice today and the laughing, and we'll have a little conversation about it. And before then, though, we want to give an opportunity to those who are saying Kaddish for loved ones to do so. If you wish, we'll put the text of the Mourner's Kaddish up on screen, and invite you, if you'd like to, you can unmute and join us once we get it up on the screen. I know it's coming. There it is. Fantastic. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, and also if you want to put in the chat the name of anybody who you are holding in your heart or mind today as you're saying Kaddish, we of course welcome that as well. So if you want to join me, Yitkadal v'yitkadash
Amen.
divrach erutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei b'chol Beit Yisrael ha'agala v'zman kariv v'imru
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabba b'barach l'olam ula'amin Barach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh Yitzhadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei tekudsha Eila min kol mirchata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran da'alma v'imru
Amen.
Hey Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim Yisrael v'imru amen Shalom v'mirav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al Yisrael v'al Yoshvei Tevel v'imru amen.
Amen.
Right.
Want me
Thank
to just get the model number?
Just fantastic. All right, so we'll bring Sarah back here on the screen, and wonderful. Sarah, thank you as always. That was a delight, and it looks like from the chat, which is still going strong, people are really loving it, and that was great.
It takes a little bit of courage. So great job, everyone.
Yeah, taking seriously the idea of Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim Besimcha. When Adar enters, we increase our joy. Is this something you do regularly? I'm just curious. Like, is this part of your like regular practice, or you make a special? This is like a special emphasis right now.
I mean, Adar definitely reminds me that this is an option. But I will say that I have a lot of nieces and nephews and little kids in my life, and I prefer being with them when we're all in our family gatherings because they are quick to laugh, they're quick to be silly. And so I think I practice that with them. It's not like me and my wife are sitting at home and we're like, we could really use a laughing meditation right now. But I do know that she works from home also. So I'm going to get some messages later from her saying, it seems like Adar started.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I do the whole month, and I encourage everyone on this call to take it, run with it. It's pretty simple. You just start laughing and you encourage other people and set a time. And if you want to look up how to do it, the internet's got a lot of guides on how to make laughing meditations.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, there was one of the comments, there's so many comments, but one of them was about getting in touch with our inner child. And you just mentioned, nieces and nephews, younger people. And there's something about Purim that is like so kid oriented, obviously, dressing up and, making noise and, sweets. It's Jewish Halloween, right? And I think about like, it's the lead up to Pesach. Like, I can't help but think about Purim is 30 days before Passover, which is also like a very child-oriented holiday, right? And a lot of playfulness, potentially different valence, but still very kid-oriented. And there's something seems like about this time of year, like maybe it's rebirth, maybe it's something, but it's like this. It almost feels to me like trying to shed some of our accreted adultness that that becomes hardened and not so laughter oriented, and maybe that's what this time is, one of the things that this time is inviting us to do.
I mean, I love that. A couple of thoughts. First of all, children, whether or not you have them or not, I think generally speaking, they can be kind of tough, but generally they remind us about the good in the world and about the potential of the world and about the opportunities of being part of a generation and generations to come. And that feeling of connectedness is good. So linking to children and thinking about them can be an easy access to remembering about the joy of life and the goodness of the world. Secondly, in Adar, Purim is kid oriented, but I do think that has to do more with adults' fear of being seen, because the month is, and dressing up is actually about, you dress up to reveal your true self. You dress up to be more like uninhibited yourself. And that's why Purim is actually the holiest day of the year. Not Yom Kippur, although Yom Kippur and Purim have a lot of plays with each other in terms of words and sounds and letters, but Purim is actually the holiest day of the year because it is the day that you are just yourself, and that self is created in the image of the divine. You wouldn't have been created in that way if it weren't godly. And so society puts structures on us, and society teaches us to get in alignment and do your thing and be an adult. And Purim is here to actually say, this is exactly who I am, and I'm going to show you on this day. And the connection between Purim and Passover is also really interesting, because Passover is actually the beginning of one of our New Year's, the beginning of the Jewish people. So it's the beginning of the calendar. Nisan is the first month of the year, which is confusing because Rosh Hashanah is actually the sixth month of the year, but Nisan is actually the first month of the year. And so in this first month, which is about like order and structure and doing the year and building up, that means that Adar is the last month of the year. And the last month of the year is about complete chaos, throw it all out the window, be silly, reveal your true self. And so that you could actually think about the calendar, starting with that order, going through all of this, going through the winter time, planting seeds for the beginning. Oops. And then being silly, and then starting it all over again. So yeah. I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
Lots to think about the relationship between those two holidays. And actually it's Tu B'Shvat, Purim, and Passover that all come on the full moons back to back with each other.
Right. There's some questions that have come in, by the way. Are there any good books about At the Well? You written your book?
I haven't written my book yet, Josh. I got to talk to you about doing that.
Okay.
My board definitely wants that. I started At the Well as a passion project. Purim is my anniversary to myself, because Queen Esther possessed me to realize I was the right person at the right time to bring forward well-being practices for women in Jewish wisdom. And I'm totally serious about that. She found me and my soul and my privilege and my opportunity in the world. So for me, it's been 8 years. At the Well started as a passion project to update resources on Rosh Chodesh. I originally thought it was going to be a coffee table book, but I wanted it to be more about action in the world and giving people opportunity to be in touch with the Hebrew calendar and to return to women's gatherings on the new moon. So I turned it into a blog and then a newsletter and then an organization. So the book is delayed, but it's really because actually the website has like 10 books written in it. And I prefer that you start taking action on Rosh Chodesh than buying my book, although maybe a year from now the book will be out and then you can support us that way too.
Cool. And Laura wants to know more about Purim's being the holiest day of the year. Yeah, I mean, so I don't, if you want to say more about that?
Laura, I am not a rabbi. I don't have the exact text on me, but I can certainly follow up if you send me an email. There's a lot of like Talmudic discussion about it.
Right.
And I can certainly find that source for you. But I would need to resort to At the Wells rabbinic support, unless Josh, you know it, or somebody else on this thread actually knows that link.
There's a Talmudic discussion about, in the days of the Messiah, like what holidays will we still celebrate, right? And the one that emerges from that is Purim. Like, ironically, we won't celebrate other holidays, but Purim is this one that even in the time of the Mashiach, that we still, in the rabbi's imagination, still need to celebrate. And so, like, why is that? And Purim being, of course, also like this time of, it's this ironic time of it's theologically, it's the time of God's concealment. The book of Esther is the only book in the Bible that doesn't contain God's name, right? And the divine name. And so how do we understand that? And that one of the ways we might understand it is actually the divine is actually even radically more present, just in more hidden ways. And we have to look harder for it, right? And that's a teaching of my own Rebbe Yitzhak Greenberg, writes a lot about that, about that lesson of Purim. We're really living in Purim time, maybe, in this postmodern age that we live in. So
I invite everyone to bring on Purim this year. It's exactly 2 weeks from now. You can track it by the moon. When it gets really full, it's time. And especially intergenerationally, if you're going to do something with people in your family or friends, and Yom Kippur might seem a little heavy and Passover might seem like hard to put together, finding some joy for Purim is a great way to connect with each other and to find the joy in the world, and also to be Jewish together.
Yeah. Alice also reminds us Zayin Adar, the 7th of Adar, so a week before Purim, right, is Moses's Yortzeit, right, and so that's known as a special day as well. So yeah, a lot of valences to the month of Adar. And somebody mentioned before, like, also this can be a sad month. Like, I think this is also a time I associate with a number of deaths of people that have been close to me, right? Where it's really, and I'm sure that if we did like an actuarial table, it's not like you're more likely right now than any other time. But there's something about, someone said before, like, you get to this point where you don't know, are the tears that I'm crying tears of laughter or tears of joy? And that's another sort of theme of Purim. The Talmud talks about this expression, ad de lo yada, that we should get to a point where our awareness becomes blurred, basically, where the categories that we usually put things into become kind of murky, and blurred. And so those tears become hard to discern. What kind of tears are we crying here? And there's a real truth in that. Any of us who have ever had that kind of experience, I think of like one of my close friends' weddings from 20 years ago that came days after friends were killed in a terrorist bombing. And then we were dancing at their wedding, and it was just, we didn't know, and we were, these tears are streaming down, and we really couldn't tell, like, where is this coming from? It's coming from both, right? They're both.
And tears are interesting like that, because it's an embodied and response to pretty wide ranges of feelings that are seemingly on other sides of each other, and they are experienced the same way, and both of them are release. Someone said in the chat, the laughter helped me experience my emotions, which was kind of like the gateway, and then all of a sudden I felt all my other emotions. And feeling emotions is definitely something Judaism wants us to do. That's why it has set times for us to go into it. So if laughter is the way in to all the other ones, that also can be like a joyous thing that you could feel.
I also see, I know that Miriam Margles is on the call, and I see that Jenny Solomon is here, and Jenny just, who are our own teachers who are also here. And Jenny says, to your point, my experience is that my laughter, usually the hysterical kind, tends to open a gateway in my heart that allows tears of sadness that I didn't know I had to flow. Yeah, I know. I mean, my family makes fun of me for it, but like, when I'm really laughing, I mean, I cry really easily. I'm a crier laugher. My laughter is genuine. When that happens, I know my laughter is genuine, and yeah, it's really that's a fascinating thing. I'd be curious, like, what other people's experience of that is. Are you a kind of person who cries when you laugh? That you had that you. I find the tears come easily for me, which is really fascinating.
Yeah,
And
this month has a lot of depth. At the surface, it's like it's not just Groggers and Hamantashen. There's actually like a lot there to explore, both for ourselves and spiritually in Judaism, to explore what all the lessons are there. And Josh referenced it in passing, but again, this is Book of Esther's. It's not an obvious connection. It doesn't say God in it. It requires you to have a different level, a different relationship with the felt sense, I should say, the experience of feeling something to be true, rather than like thinking our ways into it.
yeah. If you're on At the Well's email list, you just got the At the Well, the 3-week journey email that Sarah was referring to. I just happened to look down and like, oh, they just came into
Because we
my.
also have these moon manuals. I'm sure you've heard me talk about them before. They were the origin of the organization, but they're guides to every Hebrew calendar month. And Deborah, I saw that you had a question about great, books on Rosh Chodesh. The truth is there are great ones, but they're written about 30 years ago. And that was part of the reason I was inspired to start At the Well, because I felt like there was a missing generational conversation around Rosh Chodesh. So shout out to Susan Barron and Penina Edelman, who wrote books a little bit before I was born. And you can check those books out and check out our content. And I know that there's a lot of other spaces now talking about Rosh Chodesh, which brings a lot of warmth to my heart, because it's a ritual that has no laws. It's the most lawless ritual in all of Judaism. So you don't have to say a prayer to do it right or do a ritual to do it right. You just have to acknowledge it and connect with yourself and others and pay attention to what the Hebrew calendar is teaching you. And so it offers just a lot of interpersonal connection and a time to really be talking to other people about the themes, rather than being distracted by prayers or stories about things that happened to ancestors. And there's a time for those things, and they're great. And also, I think that Rosh Chodesh is really needed in this day and age to check in with other people about what's really going on with them below the surface.
I'll offer one last thing that comes to mind also, Sarah, is there are 4 mitzvot that are associated with Purim, like four observances of the day. There's reading the Megillah, right, or listening to it, the Scroll of Esther. There's having a festive meal. There's giving gifts to the poor, and there's sending gifts to friends. And Maimonides in his legal code talks about, of those 4, the most important is giving gifts to the poor, that you should give more in your matanot levyonim, your gifts to the poor, than in spending on your own meal. And he says that it's beautiful. He writes it really beautifully, that why is that so? Because in giving, when we see people on the margins and we let them know that they're visible and we bring them something tangible, that actually is like making visible the Shekhinah, the divine presence, in that moment. And I just think of like, there's these ways of like uncovering that hiddenness and allowing ourselves to see the things that we don't often allow ourselves to see. And that can also be part of our own inner spiritual journey as well, like to open up these parts of ourselves and to bring the Shekhinah essentially right to those places, or to uncover that it's already there, is this really wonderful opportunity, invitation of Purim. So thank you for helping get us ready.
Thank you for having me, and to everyone who did it or just listened or just was open to a laughing meditation. I know it's not the norm here.
Great.
And I think that's good. We're here to mix it up a little bit, and to stay in touch throughout this month. I hope that everyone brings joy and forces it upon your life and the people in your life, and the people who you can help to be seen, who aren't normally seen in your community, and then also in Purim to reveal the sides of yourself that you don't let other people see that much.
Right. We'll see you back here next month, Sarah. We're getting ready for Pesach, and and everybody else. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow or whenever you can join us at 12:30 Eastern.